of faith.
This is the way. The truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll remember this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and my co-host, Devin. And today, we're here to break down episode 2 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, which is titled Superhuman Law. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at FilmOptix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Devin, happy Thursday. Happy Thirsty Thursday. How's your week been, buddy?
It's just been an average week, just getting through it with the help of She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's just been another week, it's been a long week, man. But, tomorrow, by the time this is out, it'll be Friday. So happy Friday to all of our listeners out there. We're 1 week closer to a 3-day weekend for Labor Day weekend, which I'm very, very excited about. So definitely. So, as we mentioned before, each and every week, we're going to be here breaking down She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. This episode, again, is titled Superhuman Law. A little bit more of the shorter side. So this episode altogether, I think it runs about like 30 minutes altogether, but
it's a sitcom.
Yeah, it's a sitcom. Exactly. It's a sitcom, and there's really not that much to it other than that. Like, we're not going to get these super dramatic depths to these characters. It is what it is, and honestly, I'm kind of here for it. I need a bit of a palate cleanser, and I need some She-Hulk in my life. I feel like we haven't seen enough of the Hulk, or just enough of the Hulk family.
Well, get ready, it's coming.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially with it's crazy because like Universal has had like the whole the film rights for Hulk for so long, so it's kind of like they can only use him in little spurts.
2023, baby, it's time.
Yeah, very, very excited. So, Devin, are you ready just to dive on into this episode here? I feel like we've done enough small talk to warm ourselves up here, warm up our voices.
Let's keep it short and sweet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this introduction to She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, episode 2.
This way, please. We are the first top-tier law firm to launch an entire division dedicated to superhuman law.
God, is this why they hired me? Okay, this sucks. I am totally qualified, but now everyone around here is always going to think this is the only reason I got the job. It's so unfair. I should be able to enjoy the fact that I just got an amazing new job, and I can't.
Money.
These dodos never had to deal with this on their first day at work.
But I'm curious, what do you think about it?
I'm agnostic.
Interesting. Unprecedented, for sure. Huh. Oh.
I'll spend the rest of the year worrying about what I just said.
And we are back. You just heard a little snippet of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And as I said before, we're just going to be breaking down this episode. We're going to be going over the initial reactions, some spoilers, talking about the post-credit scene, as we've learned that there is a new one each and every week. Then we'll get into our final thoughts. We are going to skip our ratings until the very end of this series, because I don't feel like it is fair to judge a incomplete show when we haven't seen the full picture yet. It's all about the journey, 100%. So, Devin, what are your initial reactions for episode 2 of She-Hulk?
Yeah, I remember messaging you short after, and I was just like, that was a really funny episode. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, Had a few really good jokes. I loved, probably one of the best jokes I've heard in the MCU is when, I don't even know what his title was, but the guy comes in the office and mentions that there's a secret bathroom for pooping that there's a map for that they can use. That's just that just feels like a Rick and Morty joke. Like, especially with Rick's hidden toilet that he has, that he goes to and escapes to. It just feels like perfectly matching that kind of humor. And it's just something that when you get into a new office, you definitely look for that. Like, everyone at some point is like, I need some freedom, so I'm just going to find a nice secluded bathroom where I can just let it all out and hang out and get paid on company time to do the crime.
Exactly. It's so that is very, very true. And I think my initial reactions pretty much echo that. Like, granted, this is around maybe like a 30-minute, heck, maybe even like a 25-minute episode, including the credits, but it does move, it does push the story forward. We have Jennifer Walters, who we've learned during the beginning of this episode is kind of down on her luck based on the events that happened in the last episode. We get that nice little, more like a prologue. I feel like that was. I feel like this was really the start of this new show. But having episode 1 really laid down the groundwork. We understand, who Jennifer Walters is. What she's doing. It's just a fun lawyer show about She-Hulk and her relationship with Hulk and how she is able to deal with being a Hulk while also balancing being a lawyer, because everybody knows that she is She-Hulk. So this episode really kind of just showed Jennifer, down on her luck for a bit. She definitely does bounce back throughout the episode. And she kind of it's almost as if, you've had a job for a very long time. Let's say for whatever reason you were let go. And, you're going on all these interviews, right? And then you're taking like the first job that even considers hiring you without even like reading the fine print and figuring out, hey, okay, you want me to come work for you. So like, what is it that you actually do? Or what kind of law firm are you actually about? Like, what is my position in your company? It's kind of like she's kind of desperate, but we'll get into that more with spoilers. But overall, I did like the episode. There's a lot of jokes in here. It's not like traditional sitcom laugh out loud. It's more of the modern sitcom, with shows like New Girl or with Community, things of that nature. Like, it's not necessarily going to make you bust like, LOL, oh my gosh, that was so funny, like, squirting like milk out of your nose. But like, there's a lot of lines and dialogue that made me chuckle throughout this episode. And I think this episode did exactly what it needed to do, which is from what we've seen from the first episode, we see that Jennifer Walters kind of has her stuff together. But with this episode, we kind of see how she handles being dealt a bad hand time and time and again. So I think it's just a fantastic episode all around. But Devin, was there anything else non-spoiler that you wanted to mention before we get into our spoiler section?
It's great seeing Tim Roth on the screen again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
New and improved.
Yeah, it's kind of giving me the original Mandarin vibes there a little bit, where he's like just this harmless dude. It's like, hey, I'm a nice guy, but he definitely gives off those vibes. Or so we may think. We do not know. But ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning. We're about to get into our spoiler section. So that was your first spoiler warning for She-Hulk episode 2 again. That was your second spoiler warning for She-Hulk episode 2. So if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. Like I said, it's around 25 to 30 minutes, including with credits. It's this week's episode's a very easy watch. We still have 7 episodes to go, so we will see how the rest of this story plays out. But so we kind of find out that Jennifer lost her job, which was actually, I didn't really see that coming I thought that she was just kind of, rise to, oh, like it's She-Hulk, like she's here, like she is in the comics. Like that's her role, but she's good at everything that she does. But we find out that she loses her job, and she goes on these all these interviews. And I was watching heavy spoilers breakdown of it, and if you've noticed within the background with each and every interview, she kind of settles for less and less and less and less because the offices that she's interviewing in are less, I guess, posh or nice or fancy. I guess it's not those, high profile like LA law firms or California law firms. So, but she does bounce back and gets
He was considering a job at some kind of amusement park at some point.
Yes.
That one screen, that one website had quite a bit of Easter eggs going on.
It did. I love how we had the Iron Man, the Iron Man 2s or whatever. I'm like, of course they would have their own, version of that.
And then there's mention of a Canadian with claws in a bar fight.
Yeah.
Does it get more obvious than that?
Well, is it Wolverine or is it Project X? Because they are both Canadian.
I don't know if she's old enough for the bar.
Yes, I don't know. Maybe she walked in thinking that, hey, I can take these guys at any moment. And if stuff goes down, I can handle myself. But no, it was definitely a nod to Wolverine. I'm very excited. And I love how they're kind of dropping these Easter eggs. Easter eggs are a big deal within the MCU and other major franchises. But that one was very subtle. Like, I would not have noticed it if I didn't either, one, for some reason, pause the episode during that time, or two, did not watch like a breakdown video afterwards, because it would have just went over my head because you're not really focused on that stuff. But, knowing Marvel, they always love to throw those Easter eggs in there. What did you think of Jennifer kind of taking this superhuman law degree or new job as defending Abomination? Because I think that's a very interesting twist. And we kind of find out towards the end of the episode, as we saw in Shang-Chi, he broke out at some point.
Yeah, she ends up getting duped twice in this episode. First one is she doesn't expect to have to be She-Hulk while she's lawyering, but the big boss tells her that that's what they want. They want a superhuman law firm, and that's what they want the face of it to be. So she kind of has to accept that. And then it takes a little bit of convincing, and she kind of goes back and forth if she even wants to defend Blonsky. And then she talks to her big cuzzo, who is off on his own adventure in space. Definitely setting something up there.
Much like Fury, Hulk is now off planet again. So
World War Hulk? Hello?
I think so. I definitely think so. Because I think now with the timing, especially, hopefully we will see like a new Hulk movie, hopefully within like the next 2 to 3 years. Because like you said, 2023 is when that deal up with Universal and Marvel can have I believe it is the film rights back to Hulk altogether. So they'll be able to do more with this character, which I really enjoy. I know there's been a lot of discourse, especially on Twitter, if you're on Twitter a lot, with Hulk just kind of being like if anyone out there is like a Dragon Ball Z fan, like Gohan used to be like this, the character. He used to be like the most popular character. He was Goku's son. He was stronger than Goku in every way. And then he becomes kind of like a suburban dad.
He's been nerfed. There's no way around it.
He's been nerfed. Yeah. And, they try to kind of like reclaim Gohan in those kind of ways. But much like the Hulk, he is more sophisticated now. I've always liked Smart Hulk. I mean, yeah, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more with like Raging Hulk. But at the time, that's just not where the story was going. And who's to say that things can't get reversed? I mean, this is all adaptation anyway, So I'm excited for if they hint towards World War Hulk. I think, with the film rights ending next year for Universal, I think that's something they can easily do, because clearly Mark Ruffalo really wants to kind of, take on this role as much as he can, and more so. And I think he should, or at least, pass the baton eventually to She-Hulk.
And then her second duping was she finally accepts becoming Blonsky's attorney, which is great and all. And she calls up the boss, and then they find out that he escaped prison at one point with our buddy Wong, which we saw in Shang-Chi.
Oh boy!
It all comes full circle.
There was a bit of a discourse because I guess this would obviously this happens after Shang-Chi, but Bruce was in Shang-Chi with a sling, but I don't believe we saw the condition of his arm that I can remember. I mean, it's been a while since I've watched Shang-Chi, but I know there was like some discourse around there saying like, oh, wouldn't his arm be healed? It was something weird. Someone had pointed it out to me, but if you know what I'm talking about, definitely reach out to us on Twitter and or Instagram to set the record straight there. But yeah, overall, let's just get into our final thoughts of this episode. I'll pass it back over to Devin unless you had something else you wanted to bring up that we haven't yet in our spoiler section.
Yeah, it was short and simple. Got the job done. We're just setting up to where she's going to have interesting, eclectic, cool clients throughout the series. Great start here with Tim Roth as Blonsky. I don't really remember anything about his character because I haven't seen that original Hulk since it came out. Like, it's just not one I go back to revisit.
No, and also I wanted to mention really quick, I do love, I mean, they literally take a jab at the original Hulk where...
Yeah, the wink, wink, nod at the... I'm a different person.
He was like, that fight was so many years ago. I'm a completely different person now. Literally. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they took that jab. That was fantastic. Brilliant writing there. It was just a fun little nod. But yeah, I do agree. We've only gotten one Hulk movie, and any other time that the Hulk has appeared in the MCU has been in a team-up movie or he's cameoed. So, and that's pretty much what they were only able to do with the character. I mean, even for Thor not Love and Thunder, Ragnarok, I mean, it was a Hulk movie as much as it was a Thor movie, but, you know, he was just there as a cameo. It wasn't necessarily his movie. So I'm interested to see what they do with Hulk, that they finally get the film rights back in 2023. So I really love how they took that job though, man. It was fantastic. It perfectly explains how long ago that was, because much like you, I haven't watched the original Hulk in any MCU rewatch, or I mean, I have the Blu-ray, but man, honestly,
I mean, the things he was saying, it was like it sounded like he had a good point. Like, I have to go back and watch, but I don't remember how it unfolded. I'm guessing, I think he's lying a bit, but he made a good case, and he convinced She-Hulk to go along with it. So good job.
Maybe Roth is a changed man, maybe not. Like, we'll just have to wait and see. Like, he definitely played the card of, oh, you know, from our point of view, you know, the Hulk was the monster back in, what was it, 2009, 8, something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, like on their point of view, the Hulk was the monster and he was sent to stop him. But from our point of view, watching it, you know, the Abomination was the threat. And I'm pretty sure he was the threat from what I recall. But again, it's been a while since I watched it. But yeah, as far as my final thoughts, pretty much echo Devin's. Great episode. 30 minutes in and out. I barely, felt the runtime. I thought the writing was great. We'll just have to keep watching to see how this story unfolds. If it just ends up being a fun lawyer show, like they said in episode 1, that's totally fine by me.
Unless you're expecting some kind of big emotional evolution throughout the series, which seems to be a weird thing that people are picking up on.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure we'll definitely see like the trials and tribulations of her being a woman in the courtroom, and at some point we're also going to be getting some long action. We kind of saw that through the trailers, and as well as Daredevil. I really wish sometimes that they kind of just let cameos be a surprise instead of like marketing, like, oh, look, you have to watch this show because X, Y, and Z is in it. It's like, well, I'm watching for She-Hulk. I mean, the Easter eggs and the cameos are definitely, icing on the cake. Those are nice surprises, but you know, I just don't want people to watch just for Daredevil, like, because it is She-Hulk show. I think Tatiana Maslany's done a fantastic job, and yeah, I just sometimes I kind of just wish they would lay off marketing the Easter egg, or the cameos, I should say, more so, because I mean, imagine us just watching it and then like Daredevil appears out of nowhere and it's like, oh my gosh, for like an episode or something, and then, you know, obviously us getting a Daredevil Born Again series that'll pick up there, but that would have been cool. Like, I kind of wish we didn't know he was in this show, because
I am excited for him to show up, but I'm also very much so not excited for the discourse that will be going on the internet. It's already starting.
Yeah, and you know how people always say, oh, I have superhero fatigue. I don't think it's that people have superhero fatigue. I think it's the discourse around these Marvel movies, because Marvel, everyone is on Marvel's neck for every little thing they do. And I'm like, can we just chill, everyone? Have a good time. Watch some She-Hulk every week. You know, watch some House of the Dragon, and just have a good week. That's all I want. So yeah. So that pretty much concludes our episode here of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, episode 2. And if you've liked what you've heard here on today's episode, please make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice, and make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it may be. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. Quickly here now, what is out now on our podcast, you might ask? Well, we have a lot. This is definitely picking up to be the busier part of the year. So we have our House of the Dragon, aka Hot D, episode 1 review out that is spoiler free for everyone to listen to, as well as our Orphan First Kill review and our Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 2 Earth series revisited, that we had a few amazing guests come on and talk about the world of Avatar, you know, revisiting that show for the upteenth time. We'll definitely be dropping Book 3 sometime in September. And also keep a lookout for our House of the Dragon, aka Hot D, episode 2, spoiler-free review. I think we're going to drop that on Friday for you guys. By the time this is out, hopefully House of the Dragon will be out as well. But yeah, other than that, definitely keep a lookout for our Star Wars Rogue One story as we prep for Andor as well. So I'm very, very excited for that. That'll be dropping next week on the 29th of August. So a lot of things in the work here at the podcast. So we're going to say our piece. We hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next time. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.